The shuttle broke through the docking bay doors with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Jake Morrison unbuckled his harness and stood up, stretching his legs after the long journey. Through the viewport, he could see the massive interior of the Galactic Trade Station, and his breath caught in his throat. It was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. The station stretched out before him like a small city floating in space. Alien beings of every shape and size moved through the corridors beyond the docking bay. Some walked on two legs like humans. Others floated, crawled, or moved in ways that made no sense to Jake's Earth-trained mind. The walls glowed with lights and colors he had never seen before. Strange symbols scrolled across display screens, advertising products and services in dozens of alien languages. "Well, this is it," Lisa Carter said from the pilot's seat. She was running through the post-flight checklist, her fingers dancing over the controls. First humans to ever dock at an alien space station. "How does it feel?" "Terrifying," Danny Hayes answered before Jake could respond. The science officer was staring at his scanner, his eyes wide. "Do you have any idea how many different life forms are on this station? My equipment can barely keep up with the readings." Jake smiled, trying to project confidence he didn't entirely feel. "We knew this would be overwhelming. But Earth is counting on us. We're here to make friends, establish trade relations, and show the galaxy that humanity deserves a seat at the table." The airlock opened, and a blast of air that smelled like cinnamon and metal washed over them. Jake stepped out first, his boots clicking on the strange material of the station floor. It felt solid, but somehow gave slightly under his weight, like walking on very dense foam. A tall, thin creature stood waiting for them. It had 6 legs and looked something like a praying mantis, if a praying mantis was 8 feet tall, and wore a uniform covered in official-looking badges. Its triangular head tilted as it examined the 3 humans with multifaceted eyes. "You are the Earth delegation," the creature said. Its mouth didn't move, but a small device on its chest translated the clicking sounds it made into perfect English. "I am Administrator Kazurt. I oversee new species integration." "Honored to meet you," Jake said, extending his hand in what he hoped was a universal gesture of greeting. "I'm Jake Morrison, and these are my colleagues Lisa Carter and Danny Hayes. We're excited to—" Yes, Kazurt interrupted, ignoring Jake's outstretched hand. "You are a Category 5 species. Newly spacefaring, primitive technology, limited resources. Your orientation package is being downloaded to your data devices now. Please review all safety protocols. Many areas of this station contain atmospheres, temperatures, or radiation levels that would be fatal to your biology." Jake lowered his hand slowly. The administrator's tone was not exactly rude, but it certainly wasn't welcoming either. It reminded Jake of a bored customs officer processing paperwork. "We appreciate the information," Lisa said, her voice cool and professional. "Could you direct us to the diplomatic quarter?" "We have several meetings scheduled with—" "Cancelled," Kazurt said flatly. "All of them." "The Zelthran Collective found your proposed trade goods laughable. The Morpheus Consortium deemed your technology too primitive to waste time on. The Kalaran Medical Federation expressed concern that meeting with you might expose them to unknown Earth diseases." The administrator's head tilted further. "This is normal for Category 5 species. You should not have expected otherwise." Danny's face flushed red. "Now wait just a minute. We came here in good faith and—" Jake put a hand on Danny's shoulder, squeezing gently. Getting angry wouldn't help their situation. "I understand. Could you perhaps recommend some species that might be more open to meeting with us? We're willing to start small and build relationships over time." For the first time, something that might have been amusement flickered across Kazurt's alien features. "The Vexians have expressed interest in meeting you. Dock 47 recreation level. They are traders, though I would advise caution. They have a reputation for being opportunistic." "Thank you," Jake said. "We'll take any opportunity we can get." Kazurt handed Jake a small device that looked like a smooth stone. "This is your station pass. It will translate languages, provide maps, and alert you if you wander into dangerous areas. Try not to cause any incidents. Earth's application for full galactic citizenship is already on shaky ground." With that, the administrator turned and walked away on its 6 legs, leaving the 3 humans standing alone in the docking bay. "Well, that was a warm welcome," Lisa muttered. "I'm starting to think this whole mission was a mistake." "We just got here," Jake said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Let's find our quarters, get settled, and then check out this meeting with the Vexians. Someone wants to talk to us, and that's better than nothing." The station was overwhelming as they made their way through the corridors. Aliens of every description passed them, but most gave the humans a wide berth. Some pointed and made sounds that Jake assumed were comments or laughter. Others simply ignored them completely, as if humans were beneath notice. Their quarters turned out to be 3 small rooms connected to a common area. The furniture was clearly designed for beings with different body shapes, and Jake had to suppress a laugh when he sat down on what was apparently a chair and nearly fell through the gap in the middle. "This is going to take some getting used to," Danny said, examining a food dispenser that seemed designed for creatures with tentacles instead of hands. Jake spent the next few hours reviewing everything they knew about the Vexians. According to Earth's limited intelligence, they were reptilian traders known throughout the galaxy for their business acumen. They controlled trade routes in 3 different sectors and had a reputation for driving hard bargains. "It says here they value strength and directness," Jake told the others as they prepared for the meeting. "We should be straightforward about what we want and what we can offer." "What can we offer?" Lisa asked. "According to everyone on this station, we have nothing they want. Then we find something they need that they don't know they need yet," Jake said. "That's what humans do best. We adapt, we figure things out. We survive." When they finally made their way to Dock 47 on the recreation level, Jake felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach. This meeting could determine Earth's entire future in the galactic community. If they failed here, they might not get another chance. The recreation area was crowded with aliens eating, drinking, and socializing. Strange music filled the air and the lighting shifted through colors that made Jake's eyes water. In the back corner, a group of reptilian beings sat around a curved table. They were large, with scales that shimmered green and gold under the lights. Their eyes were cold and calculating, and when they saw the humans approach, they smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Ah, the Earth delegation," one of them called out in a voice that sounded like gravel scraping against metal. "We have been so eager to meet you. Please sit. We have much to discuss." Something about the way they smiled made Jake uneasy, but he pushed the feeling aside. Earth needed allies, and the Vexians were offering a chance. He would take it, and he would make it work. He had no idea that in just a few hours everything would change. The Vexian who had called out to them introduced himself as Scarl. He was larger than the others, with darker scales and a scar running down the left side of his face. His smile never quite reached his eyes, which watched the humans with an intensity that made Jake uncomfortable. "Please, honored guests, sit with us," Scarl said, gesturing to seats that had been adjusted to accommodate human proportions. That surprised Jake. The Vexians had actually prepared for their arrival. Jake, Lisa, and Danny took their seats. The table was covered with containers of various liquids and what appeared to be food, though nothing Jake recognized. The smell was strange, but not entirely unpleasant, like exotic spices mixed with something metallic. "We have heard so much about Earth," Scarl continued, leaning back in his chair. "A world that survived its own violence and emerged into the stars. Very impressive for a species so young. We're eager to learn from older, more experienced civilizations," Jake said carefully. "Earth has resources and a skilled workforce. We're looking to establish mutually beneficial trade relationships." One of the other Vexians, a female with lighter scales, laughed softly. "Resources? What could Earth possibly have that we cannot find elsewhere? Your metals are common. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Even your biological samples are nothing special." Jake felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice level. "Perhaps we haven't discovered what makes us unique yet. But we're quick learners and hard workers. Give us a chance to prove ourselves." Scarl exchanged glances with his companions. Something passed between them. Some unspoken communication that Jake couldn't interpret. Then Scarl's smile widened. "You know what? I like your spirit. Earth may be primitive, but you have courage to come here and face rejection with dignity. That deserves respect." He reached under the table and pulled out a crystalline bottle filled with glowing purple liquid. The bottle itself was beautiful, like carved amethyst, and the liquid inside seemed to pulse with its own light. "This," Scarl said, holding the bottle up so it caught the light, "is Theraxian fire. It comes from the volcanic caves of Therax Prime, a world on the other side of the galaxy. It is extremely rare and extremely expensive. Among spacefaring civilizations, sharing Theraxian fire is the highest honor one can bestow on a new acquaintance." Jake stared at the bottle. The liquid was mesmerizing, swirling with patterns that seemed almost alive. That's very generous of you, but we couldn't possibly accept something so valuable when we have nothing to offer in return. Nonsense. Scarl set the bottle on the table with a solid thunk. Consider it a welcoming gift. A gesture of goodwill between our peoples. When you drink Thraxian fire with someone, you form a bond of trust and friendship. It is our way. Lisa leaned close to Jake and whispered, "This feels wrong. Why would they give us something so valuable?" Danny was already reaching for his scanner, a small device disguised to look like a datapad. He held it under the table and pointed it at the bottle, trying not to be obvious about what he was doing. Scarl was watching them with that same unsettling smile. Is something wrong? Do humans not exchange gifts as a sign of friendship? No, we do, Jake said quickly. It's just such a generous offer. We're honored. Around them, other beings in the recreation area were starting to pay attention. Jake noticed several aliens had moved closer, forming a loose circle around their table. Some were holding small devices pointed in their direction. Recording devices, Jake realized. They were going to record this moment. Danny's scanner beeped softly, a sound only the humans would recognize. He glanced down at the screen and his face went pale. He looked up at Jake and gave the smallest shake of his head, a clear warning. But Jake was focused on Scarl and didn't see Danny's signal. He was thinking about all the canceled meetings, the dismissive attitudes, the feeling of being treated like children by the other species. Here was finally someone offering friendship, offering respect. Earth needed this. Earth needed allies no matter how strange or unexpected. The proper ceremony, Scarl explained, picking up the bottle again, is to drink deeply and speak words of friendship. The Thraxian fire will burn going down. But that burn represents the passion of new bonds being formed. Some species cannot tolerate the intensity, but surely humans are strong enough. There was a challenge in his voice now, something that made Jake's pride flare up. They thought humans were weak. They thought Earth had nothing to offer. This was a test, Jake realized. If he refused, it would confirm everything the galaxy believed about humanity. But if he accepted, if he drank this ceremonial beverage and showed no weakness, maybe it would change some minds. Lisa, Danny, I'm going to do this, Jake said quietly. It's a cultural exchange. We have to respect their customs. Jake, no, Danny hissed. You don't understand what's in that. But Scarl was already pouring the Thraxian fire into a large glass, filling it to the brim. The purple liquid glowed brighter now, casting strange shadows on the table. A toast, Scarl announced loudly, drawing the attention of everyone in the recreation area. To Earth, the newest member of the galactic community. May they find their place among the stars. The other Vexians raised their own glasses, though Jake noticed they were drinking something else, not the Thraxian fire. More aliens crowded around, their recording devices active. The music in the recreation area had stopped. Everyone was watching. Jake stood up and took the glass from Scarl. It was warm to the touch, almost hot. The liquid inside swirled with hypnotic patterns, and he could smell something sharp and chemical, like alcohol mixed with something medicinal. To new friendships, Jake said, raising the glass, and to Earth's future among the stars. He saw Lisa close her eyes, and Danny looked like he wanted to grab the glass away. But it was too late. Jake had committed. He brought the glass to his lips, tilted his head back, and began to drink. The Thraxian fire hit his tongue like liquid electricity. It burned just as Scarl had promised, but not in an unpleasant way. It reminded Jake of the hottest hot sauce he had ever tried, mixed with the burn of strong whiskey. The liquid was thick, almost syrupy, and it left a tingling sensation as it went down his throat. Jake drank steadily, not stopping, not showing any sign of discomfort. Around him, he heard gasps and shocked exclamations in various alien languages. Someone's recording device fell to the floor with a clatter. The glass was large, and it took several long swallows to empty it. When Jake finally finished, he set the glass down on the table and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. His throat felt warm and tingly, and there was a strange sensation spreading through his chest, but he felt fine. Better than fine, actually. He felt energized, almost buzzed, like he had just had a couple of strong drinks on an empty stomach. That, Jake said with a genuine smile, was delicious. It's got quite a kick to it. Reminds me of this moonshine my uncle used to make back in Tennessee, except with more of a fruity aftertaste. He looked at Scarl hopefully. You wouldn't happen to have more, would you? Maybe I could buy a bottle to bring back to Earth? I know some folks who would love this stuff. The recreation area had gone completely silent. Scarl's smile had frozen on his face. His eyes were wide, showing white around the edges. The other Vexians had stopped moving entirely, like statues carved from stone. One of them made a choking sound and collapsed backward off his chair. Jake looked around, confused by everyone's reaction. Did I do something wrong? Was I supposed to say something else during the toast? The silence stretched on for what felt like forever. Jake looked at Lisa and Danny, hoping for some explanation, but they looked just as shocked as everyone else. Danny was staring at his scanner like it had personally betrayed him, shaking it and checking the readings again. Finally, Scarl found his voice. You drank it? All of it? Well, yeah, Jake said. You said it was a traditional friendship ceremony. Was I supposed to just take a sip? I'm sorry if I got the custom wrong. We're still learning about galactic etiquette. Aquilaran, one of the crystalline beings Jake had seen earlier in the station corridors, pushed through the crowd. She moved with purpose, her body reflecting light in rainbow patterns as she approached. Human, do not move. I am Dr. Vess, Chief Medical Officer of this station. I need to scan you immediately. I feel fine, Jake said, though he was starting to worry now. Everyone was acting like he had just done something terrible. Really, I'm okay. A little warm maybe and kind of tingly, but tingly? Dr. Vess pulled out a sophisticated scanning device and began running it over Jake's body. The device hummed and beeped, displaying information in symbols Jake couldn't read. Describe this tingling sensation. Is it painful? Are you experiencing difficulty breathing, blurred vision, numbness in your extremities? No, nothing like that, Jake said. It's more like, you know when your foot falls asleep and then starts to wake up? That kind of tingly. Not bad, just noticeable. Lisa had moved to Jake's side, her hand on his shoulder. Jake, that stuff you drank. Danny scanned it. It contains 7 different types of toxins. Any one of them should have killed you instantly. Jake blinked. What? The Thoraxian fire, Danny said, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. He turned to Scarl, who had gone very still in his chair. It's not a ceremonial drink. It's poison. Deadly poison. You just tried to murder him. The crowd erupted into chaos. Aliens were talking over each other in dozens of languages. Some were backing away from the Vexians. Others were recording everything, their devices capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. Scarl stood up slowly, his hands raised. This is a misunderstanding. The Thoraxian fire is indeed toxic to many species, yes, but it is also a delicacy to others. We had no way of knowing how a human would react. It was simply a prank, a test of sorts. A prank. Lisa's voice was cold and dangerous. You tried to poison him as a joke? We expected him to scan it first, as any intelligent species would. One of the other Vexians protested. Or to refuse. No one actually drinks Thoraxian fire. It is a test we use to identify gullible species. The human was supposed to politely decline or perhaps take the smallest sip and excuse himself. We were going to share the recording across the station networks, yes, but we never intended actual harm. Dr. Vess was still scanning Jake, her crystalline face impossible to read. This makes no sense. According to my instruments, you should be dead. The neural disruptor alone should have stopped your brain function within seconds. The cellular acid should be dissolving your internal organs. And yet... She paused, running the scanner over Jake's chest again. You are metabolizing it. Your body is actually breaking down the toxins and processing them like they are nutrients. Is that unusual? Jake asked. Unusual? Dr. Vess looked at him with what might have been amazement. It is unprecedented. I have never seen any species process toxins this efficiently. Your liver is working at incredible speed. Your stomach acids are neutralizing compounds that should be neutralizing them. Your cellular structure is simply absorbing the damage and regenerating faster than the poison can harm you. Another alien pushed forward, this one a being that looked like a floating jellyfish with too many tentacles. I am Professor Kent of the Xenobiology Institute. Dr. Vess, are you saying this human is immune to Thoraxian fire? Not immune, Dr. Vess corrected. He is affected by it, but his body treats it as a mild intoxicant rather than a lethal poison. It is similar to how some species process ethanol or certain plant alkaloids. Ethanol? Jake said suddenly, understanding dawning. You mean like alcohol? We drink that on Earth all the time. The crowd went silent again. You consume ethanol? For recreation? Professor Kent's tentacles waved in what looked like agitation. But ethanol is a solvent. It breaks down cellular walls. It is used in cleaning solutions and fuel. Well, yeah, but in the right amounts, it just makes you feel relaxed and happy, Jake explained. Humans have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years. Beer, wine, whiskey, vodka. It's a huge part of our culture. Danny was nodding, his anger giving way to excitement. That's it. That's why Jake can handle the Thraxian fire. Earth's evolutionary history prepared us for this. Humans evolved eating all sorts of toxic things. We eat plants full of capsaicin, which is literally a chemical weapon designed to stop mammals from eating them. We consume theobromine in chocolate, which is toxic to most Earth animals. We drink coffee loaded with caffeine, a natural pesticide. We've been training our bodies to handle poisons for millions of years. Dr. Vess ran her scanner over Jake one more time. Fascinating. Your species must have evolved in an incredibly hostile environment. Only extreme selective pressure would produce such robust defensive biology. Earth is a death world, Lisa said quietly, and Jake could hear the pride in her voice. It's a planet that constantly tries to kill everything living on it. Deadly plants, venomous animals, extreme weather, natural disasters, diseases. Humans survived all of that. We didn't just survive. We thrived. Scarl had been slowly backing away during this exchange, but Administrator Kiesert had arrived and was blocking his path. The insectoid official looked furious if Jake was reading his body language correctly. You attempted to murder a diplomatic envoy, Kiesert said to Scarl, his translator making his words crisp and cold, on my station. This is a violation of 17 different galactic laws. You will be detained pending a full investigation. Wait, Jake said, and everyone turned to look at him. I don't want to press charges. Jake, they tried to kill you, Danny protested. Yeah, but they failed spectacularly, and now everyone knows about it. Jake looked around at the crowd of aliens, all watching him with new expressions, not dismissal or condescension anymore. Now they looked curious, interested, maybe even a little afraid. Earth came here to make an impression, to show the galaxy that we matter. I think we just did that. Scarl stared at Jake like he was insane. You are not going to report us? Oh, I'm definitely going to tell everyone what happened, Jake said with a grin. But as a funny story, not as a crime. You wanted to prank us and it backfired. That's fair. Though I really am serious about buying some of that Thraxian fire, if you know where to get it. It would make a killing at bars back on Earth. Professor Kent floated closer. Mr. Morrison, would you be willing to participate in some biological studies? The scientific community would be very interested in understanding human physiology better, with proper compensation, of course. And I would like to run more comprehensive medical scans, Dr. Vess added. Your resilience could have important implications for medicine and toxicology across the galaxy. More aliens were approaching now, talking excitedly, asking questions. Jake saw species that had ignored him earlier now pushing forward to get closer. A delegation of squat, armored beings was arguing with each other, pointing at Jake and gesturing animatedly. Lisa leaned close to Jake's ear. You realize what just happened, right? You accidentally turned a diplomatic disaster into the best PR Earth could have asked for. Jake watched the crowd around him growing larger. Station security was trying to maintain order, but more beings kept arriving as word spread through the station. Somewhere in the chaos he heard someone say Death World species, and someone else respond with remarkable and frightening. For the first time since arriving at the station, Jake felt like Earth had a real chance. They weren't just another primitive species anymore. They were the humans who could drink poison and ask for more. Administrator Kiesert approached Jake, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the light. Mr. Morrison, I believe we need to discuss reclassifying Earth's status. It seems we may have underestimated your species. Jake smiled. I think that's a conversation worth having. The medical bay on the Galactic Trade Station was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The walls seemed to shift and adjust to accommodate different species, and equipment that looked more like art installations than medical devices hummed quietly in the background. Jake sat on an examination platform that had molded itself to his human shape while Dr. Vess ran test after test. Remarkable, she said for what must have been the 20th time. Her crystalline body chimed softly as she moved, reviewing data on a holographic display. Your cellular regeneration rate is nearly 10 times faster than the galactic average. Your immune system responds to threats I have never seen any species defend against naturally. And your digestive system. She paused, making a sound like wind chimes. It is essentially a biological waste processing facility. Lisa and Danny stood nearby, watching the tests. Over the past 6 hours, news of the incident had spread throughout the station. Jake's communication device had been buzzing constantly with meeting requests from species who had previously refused to even acknowledge Earth's existence. So what does all this mean in practical terms? Lisa asked. Dr. Vess turned to face them, light refracting through her body in rainbow patterns. It means that humans can survive in environments that would kill most known species. You can consume substances that are toxic to others. You recover from injuries that would be fatal to beings with less robust biology. In short, you are what we call a high-durability species. There aren't many of those, Danny said. He had been researching galactic biology classifications since the incident. Only about 3% of known intelligent species qualify. Correct, Dr. Vess confirmed. And none that I know of combine high durability with your level of cognitive function and social adaptability. Most high-durability species are solitary or have limited technological development. Humans appear to be unique. A chime sounded and Administrator Xert entered the medical bay. The insectoid official moved with more energy than Jake had seen before, his 6 legs clicking rapidly on the floor. Mr. Morrison, I have news. The Galactic Council has agreed to an emergency session to review Earth status. You are requested to present testimony in 3 standard cycles. Jake sat up straighter. Testimony about what? About everything we have learned today. Your species' capabilities have significant implications for galactic commerce, security, and exploration. The Council needs to understand what humanity can offer and what risks you might pose. Risks? Lisa's voice was sharp. We're not a threat to anyone. Perhaps not intentionally, Kezert said, but a species that can consume poisons and survive in hostile environments could easily disrupt existing economic and military balances. The Council must determine how Earth fits into the galactic community. Before anyone could respond, another being entered the medical bay. This one was massive, easily 7 feet tall and covered in thick segmented armor that looked like it was part of his body. His face was hidden behind a reflective faceplate, and when he spoke, his voice was deep and resonant. I am Commander Drex of the Drexian Mining Consortium. I need to speak with the human. Dr. Vess stepped protectively between Jake and the newcomer. This patient is still undergoing medical evaluation. I will be brief. Commander Drex looked at Jake, though it was impossible to see his eyes behind the faceplate. I have a proposition for Earth. We have mining operations on several worlds with hostile environments. Toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures, dangerous native life forms. We lose equipment and personnel regularly, despite extensive safety measures. But if humans can survive what I witnessed today, perhaps you could work in conditions that are impossible for other species. You want to hire humans as miners? Danny asked. I want to offer Earth exclusive mining contracts on worlds no other species can safely access. In exchange for labor and expertise, we would provide technology transfers, training, and a percentage of all extracted resources. Commander Drex pulled out a data device and handed it to Jake. These are the preliminary terms. If Earth is interested, we can begin negotiations immediately. Jake looked at the device, then at Lisa and Danny. This was exactly the kind of opportunity they had hoped for when they left Earth. Real trade, real partnership, not just charity or pity from more advanced species. I'll need to send this back to Earth for review, Jake said carefully. But I can tell you that we're very interested in legitimate business opportunities. Good. I will await your response. Commander Drex turned to leave, then paused. A word of advice, human. The galaxy is watching you now. Everyone wants to know what else your species can do. Be careful who you trust and what you reveal. There are those who will want to exploit your capabilities and others who will fear them. After he left, the room was quiet for a moment. Jake looked down at the data device in his hands, feeling the weight of what was happening. Less than a day ago, Earth had been dismissed as primitive and irrelevant. Now they were fielding business proposals and preparing to address the Galactic Council. This is happening fast, Lisa said quietly. Maybe too fast. We need to be strategic about this, Danny agreed. Every decision we make now will shape Earth's relationship with the galaxy for generations. Dr. Vess completed her final scan, and the display disappeared. You are healthy, Mr. Morrison. Healthier than when you arrived, actually. The Thoraxian fire appears to have had a mild beneficial effect on your metabolism. She tilted her head. A gesture Jake was learning meant curiosity. I would like to continue studying human biology if you are willing. Not just you, but other humans as well. With your permission, I would like to visit Earth and conduct research there. That would need to be approved by our government, Jake said. But I think they'd be open to it. We have a lot to learn from you, and if we can help advance galactic medical science, that seems like a fair exchange. Over the next 2 days, Jake barely slept. The meeting requests kept coming. A pharmaceutical company wanted to know if humans could test new medicines. A food distributor was curious if humans could eat products that had failed safety testing for other species. An exploration guild asked if humans would be interested in surveying uncharted worlds with unknown hazards. Each meeting brought new opportunities and new complications. Jake found himself negotiating deals he wasn't entirely qualified to make, trying to balance Earth's interests with the demands of species that had centuries more experience with interstellar trade. Lisa handled the diplomatic aspects, using her natural charm and quick thinking to navigate alien customs and protocols. Danny researched frantically, learning everything he could about galactic law, economics, and biology to ensure they didn't accidentally agree to something harmful. On the third day, they stood in the council chamber, a massive room at the heart of the station. Representatives from dozens of species sat in a circular arrangement around a central platform where Jake stood. The lighting was dim, and the air smelled like ozone and something floral that Jake couldn't identify. The council recognizes the Earth delegation, a voice announced. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, translated simultaneously into every language represented in the chamber. Human Jake Morrison will present testimony regarding his species' capabilities and Earth's petition for full galactic citizenship. Jake took a deep breath. He had prepared a speech, memorized key points, practiced his delivery. But standing here now, surrounded by beings from across the galaxy, he realized that no amount of preparation could truly ready someone for this moment. Honored members of the council, he began, his voice steady despite his nerves. 3 days ago, someone tried to poison me as a prank. They expected me to die or at least suffer greatly. Instead, I asked for a second glass. A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Jake couldn't tell if it was amusement or something else. This incident revealed something that we humans didn't fully understand about ourselves. We evolved on a world that many of you would classify as a death world, a planet with deadly weather, toxic plants, venomous animals, and diseases that constantly challenged us. We survived by becoming incredibly resilient. We didn't just survive, though. We thrived. We built civilizations, developed art and science, reached for the stars. He paused, looking around at the assembled representatives. Earth doesn't have the most advanced technology. We can't offer rare resources or ancient knowledge. What we can offer is the ability to go where others can't, to survive what others can't, to work in conditions that would kill most species. We can be your miners on toxic worlds, your explorers on dangerous frontiers, your test subjects for products too risky for others. And what do you want in return? A voice asked from the shadows. Jake couldn't see who had spoken. Knowledge, technology, partnership. We want to learn from you and contribute to the galactic community. We want Earth to have a real place among the stars, not as servants or subjects, but as equals. Another long silence followed. Jake stood still, waiting, hoping he had said the right things. Finally, Administrator Cuzzert spoke. The council will deliberate. The Earth delegation should return to their quarters and await our decision. As Jake left the chamber with Lisa and Danny, he had no idea if he had helped Earth's case or hurt it. All he could do now was wait and hope that... The message arrived at 300 station time, waking Jake from a restless sleep. His communication device chimed urgently, displaying a priority signal. He grabbed it, his heart pounding, and read the simple text. Council has reached a decision. Your presence is requested immediately. Lisa and Danny were already awake when Jake emerged from his quarters. They looked as tired as he felt, but there was excitement in their eyes. This is it, Lisa said. Whatever happens now determines Earth's future. They made their way through the quiet station corridors. Most of the businesses were closed at this hour, and only maintenance workers and security personnel moved through the halls. The station's lighting had dimmed to simulate nighttime, casting long shadows. The council chamber was fully lit when they arrived, every seat occupied. Jake noticed there were more representatives present than during his testimony. Apparently, this decision was important enough to draw a full attendance. Administrator Kezard stood at the center of the chamber. The Council has reviewed all available information regarding Earth and its inhabitants. We have considered the implications of human biology, the potential benefits and risks of full galactic citizenship, and Earth's petition to join the interstellar community. Jake held his breath. The Council's decision is as follows. Earth is granted provisional citizenship status for a period of 5 standard cycles. During this time, humanity will be given access to basic galactic technologies and trade networks. You will be assigned a permanent embassy on this station and representation in Council proceedings. However, Earth's actions during this provisional period will be closely monitored. At the end of 5 cycles, the Council will vote on whether to grant full citizenship. Relief washed over Jake like a wave. It wasn't everything they had hoped for, but it was far better than outright rejection. Xurt continued. Additionally, several commercial entities have expressed interest in establishing contracts with Earth. These will be reviewed and approved on a case-by-case basis to ensure they meet galactic labor and safety standards. The session ended, and suddenly Jake was surrounded by aliens wanting to talk, to negotiate, to offer deals. It was overwhelming, but Lisa stepped in, politely but firmly managing the crowd and scheduling proper meetings. The first formal meeting was with Commander Drex and the Drexian Mining Consortium. They met in a private conference room that adjusted its environment to accommodate both humans and the armored Drexians. We have surveyed 17 worlds that we believe humans could work safely, Commander Drex explained, projecting holographic images of alien planets. This one is Toxara 7. The atmosphere contains sulfur compounds and trace amounts of hydrogen cyanide. For my people, even brief exposure requires extensive life support systems. For humans, based on Dr. Vess's research, it should be merely unpleasant. Jake studied the planet's image. It looked hostile, with yellow clouds and dark, rocky terrain. Merely unpleasant. That's a relative term. We propose sending a test team, Commander Drex said. 5 humans accompanied by our personnel and full emergency support. You would spend 1 standard cycle on the surface, conducting mineral surveys and testing how well humans can function in those conditions. If successful, we begin full operations with human workers receiving advanced training, protective gear, and compensation well above galactic standard. Danny leaned forward. What kind of compensation are we talking about? The numbers Commander Drex provided made Jake's eyes widen. It was more than most people on Earth made in a lifetime. And that was just for the test team. If full operations began, thousands of humans could work for the consortium, bringing unprecedented wealth back to Earth. We need to send this proposal to Earth, Jake said. But I'm authorized to tell you that we're very interested. I anticipated your acceptance. Commander Drex stood, his armor plates shifting. A transport to Toxara 7 departs in 2 standard cycles. I have reserved space for your test team. After the Drexians left, Lisa looked at Jake with concern. Are you sure about this? We're talking about sending people to a planet with poison in the air. We survived Earth, Jake said. Compared to some of the things humans have endured there, this might not be so bad. Besides, Danny should go. He's our science officer, and he's been dying to do actual field work. Me? Danny's face lit up. You want me to lead the test team? Can you think of anyone better? You know the science, you're cautious enough to keep everyone safe. And you're one of the few humans in the galaxy right now with actual experience dealing with aliens. The rest of the day was filled with meetings. Aquilaran Pharmaceutical Company wanted to hire human test subjects for new medicines. The pay was generous, and Dr. Vess assured them the testing would be conducted with the highest ethical standards. A food distribution company wanted to know if humans could eat products that had failed safety certification for other species, potentially opening up entire new markets. Each opportunity was carefully reviewed. Lisa took the lead on negotiations, proving to be naturally gifted at reading alien body language and finding mutually beneficial terms. Danny documented everything, building a comprehensive database of information that would be invaluable for future human diplomats. But the most interesting proposal came from an unexpected source. A small nervous being named Pip approached them in the station's common area. Pip looked something like a cross between a rabbit and a frog, with large eyes and skin that changed colors based on his emotions. Excuse me, Mr. Morrison, Pip said in a high, fluting voice. I represent a group of independent explorers. We're not a big corporation or government, just people who love discovering new things. What can I do for you? Jake asked, intrigued. Pip's skin flushed blue with excitement. We've been studying reports about human capabilities. You can survive in conditions that would kill us. You can eat things we can't, you heal fast. We've found a planet that we think contains valuable archaeological artifacts, but it's too dangerous for us to explore properly. The atmosphere is breathable but toxic. The local life forms are aggressive. The terrain is unstable. But for humans, it might be manageable, Jake finished. Exactly. We can't pay as much as the big corporations, but we'd split any valuable discoveries 50-50. And the chance to explore an ancient civilization? That's priceless from a scientific perspective. Jake found himself smiling. This was why humanity had reached for the stars in the first place. Not just for profit, but for discovery. For the thrill of finding new things and solving old mysteries. Let me talk to Earth about this. I think we'd be very interested. Over the next few days, Danny assembled his test team for Toxara 7. He recruited 4 other humans who had come to the station as part of the support crew. Greg, a mining engineer from Colorado. Amy, a geologist from Australia. Ben, a former Marine who handled security. And Karen, a medical technician from Canada. Jake watched them prepare, feeling a mix of pride and anxiety. This team would be the first humans to set foot on an alien world for commercial purposes. Their success or failure would shape how the galaxy viewed humanity for generations. The night before departure, Jake gathered the team in their quarters. I want you all to understand what you're doing. You're pioneers. Whatever happens on Toxara 7, you're making history. But more than that, you're proving something important. You're showing the galaxy that humans don't just survive. We explore, we work. We contribute. Don't take unnecessary risks, but don't be afraid to show what we're capable of. Danny stood up, his usual nervousness replaced by determination. We won't let Earth down. The transport to Toxara 7 was a sleek Drexian vessel, far more advanced than anything humans had built. Commander Drex personally oversaw the departure, ensuring the human team had everything they needed. As Jake watched the transport undock and disappear into the darkness of space, Lisa stood beside him. Do you think they'll be okay? They're humans, Jake said with a confidence he almost believed. We've survived everything Earth could throw at us. An alien planet with poison air? That's just Tuesday for us. But as the stars swallowed the transport, Jake couldn't shake a feeling of worry. They were sending people into unknown danger, trusting that human resilience would be enough. He hoped he was right. 3 days later, the first report came back from Toxara 7. Danny's voice crackled over the communication channel, slightly distorted by distance and interference. Jake, you need to see this. The air here is bad, yeah. Smells like rotten eggs and makes your eyes water. But we're working. We're actually working. Greg found a mineral deposit that's worth more than our entire mission budget. Amy says the geology here is fascinating, and Ben scared off a pack of local predators just by yelling at them. Jake could hear the grin in Danny's voice. They thought humans were fragile. They have no idea what we're actually made of. When the transmission ended, Jake looked at Lisa and saw his own emotions reflected in her face. Relief, pride, hope. Earth had found its place in the galaxy, not as the most advanced species or the most powerful, but as the ones who could survive anything and keep moving forward. It was exactly what humanity had always been. The success on Toxara 7 changed everything. Within 2 weeks, Earth's provisional embassy on the station was flooded with contract offers. Mining operations, exploration ventures, pharmaceutical testing, even requests for human bodyguards who could survive assassination attempts that would kill other species. The galaxy had discovered that humans were useful, and everyone wanted a piece of that usefulness. Jake found himself working 18-hour days, reviewing contracts and coordinating with Earth's government. More humans were arriving at the station every week, specialists and workers eager to take advantage of these new opportunities. The small embassy quarters were already overcrowded, but not everyone was happy about humanity's rapid rise. Jake was in the embassy's main room, reviewing mining reports from Danny's team, when alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed and his communication device erupted with an emergency broadcast. All personnel report to the Central Forum immediately. This is a mandatory assembly. Repeat, all personnel to the Central Forum. Lisa rushed in from the adjoining room. What's happening? I don't know, but it sounds serious. The central forum was the largest public space on the station, a massive amphitheater where important announcements were made. When Jake and Lisa arrived, thousands of beings were already gathered representing dozens of species. The air was thick with tension and the smell of different alien biologies in close quarters. At the center of the forum stood a towering figure in ornate armor. He was easily 9 feet tall, covered in overlapping plates that looked like they could stop a spaceship. His face was hidden behind a helmet with glowing red eye slits, and when he moved, servos in his armor hissed and whirred. "That's a Crithian," whispered a Quilloran standing near Jake. "They're one of the most powerful military species in the galaxy. What's one of their ambassadors doing here?" The Crithian raised one massive arm and the crowd fell silent. When he spoke, his voice boomed through the forum without need for translation technology. "I am Ambassador Vrex of the Crithian Dominion. I have watched with growing concern as this station celebrates a species that has accomplished nothing of note, beyond surviving poison and working in unpleasant conditions." Jake felt his stomach tighten. This was not going to be good. "The humans are being praised as if they have proven themselves worthy of respect," Vrex continued. "But what have they truly done? They are durable, so what? A rock is durable. This does not make it valuable. The Crithian Dominion believes that Earth's rapid acceptance into galactic society is premature and dangerous." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jake saw Administrator Xert making his way toward the center of the forum, his 6 legs moving rapidly. "Ambassador Vrex," Xert said, his translator amplifying his voice. "Earth has provisional citizenship. This was decided by the full council. If the Crithian Dominion has concerns, they should be raised through proper diplomatic channels. Diplomacy is for those who have earned the right to it," Vrex said. He turned, and though Jake couldn't see his eyes through the helmet, he felt the weight of the Crithian's gaze. "Human Jake Morrison, step forward." Jake's heart was pounding, but he moved through the crowd to the center of the forum. He was painfully aware of how small he looked next to the armored giant. "You are the one who drank the Thoraxian fire," Vrex said. "I am. And your people work on Toxara 7 and other hostile worlds." "They do. Impressive for a species so new to the stars. But durability alone does not make a civilization great. The Crithian Dominion has endured for 10,000 of your years. We have fought wars that span galaxies. We have built wonders that make this station look like a child's toy. What have humans done to deserve standing beside us as equals?" The question hung in the air. Jake could feel thousands of eyes on him waiting for his response. "We survived Earth," Jake said quietly. "That might not sound impressive to you, but our planet tried to kill us every single day and we're still here. We didn't just survive, though. We created art and music. We built cities and sent probes into space before we even had faster-than-light travel. We fought among ourselves, yes, but we also learned to cooperate, to form nations and eventually a unified world government. We did all of that in a fraction of the time your dominion has existed. So no, we haven't built galactic wonders yet. But give us time. We will." Vrex was silent for a moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Brave words from a small creature, very well. If humans wish to be treated as equals, they should prove themselves as equals do. I issue a formal challenge." The crowd erupted in noise. Jake heard gasps and exclamations in multiple languages. "What kind of challenge?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The Crithian Dominion uses a test to evaluate warrior candidates. It is a trial of endurance, survival, and capability. The location is Hellscape Station, an abandoned military outpost on a moon called Vardex 3. The environment is hostile. The native life forms are dangerous. Most species require extensive life support just to exist there." Vrex gestured to a holographic display that appeared in the air, showing a desolate moon with a thin, toxic atmosphere and jagged, volcanic terrain. "You and 2 companions will be transported to Hellscape Station. You will have basic supplies but no advanced technology. You must survive for 3 standard cycles and retrieve data cores from the station's central computer. These cores contain valuable military intelligence. If you succeed, the Crithian Dominion will support Earth's application for full galactic citizenship and provide military protection. If you fail," Vrex paused. "Well, failure will speak for itself about humanity's worthiness." Jake stared at the hologram. The moon looked like something from a nightmare. "And if I refuse? Then the Crithian Dominion will vote against Earth's citizenship and will encourage our allies to do the same. We represent 37% of the galactic economy and 45% of military power. Without our support, Earth will remain isolated and weak. It was a trap, Jake realized. If he refused, Earth's future in the galaxy was over. If he accepted and failed, the result would be the same. Plus, he and his companions would likely die. But if he accepted and succeeded, I'll do it, Jake said before he could overthink it. But I choose my own team. Acceptable. Who will accompany you? Jake looked back into the crowd and found Lisa and Danny. Lisa was shaking her head urgently, but Jake could see in her eyes that she already knew what he was going to say. Lisa Carter and Danny Hayes, the same team that made first contact with this station. Very well. Vrex nodded slowly. You have one standard cycle to prepare, then you will be transported to Hellscape Station. The galaxy will watch this challenge. Your success or failure will be broadcast to every inhabited world. This is your chance to prove that humans are more than merely durable. This is your chance to prove you are worthy. The Crethian turned and walked away, his heavy footsteps echoing through the forum. The crowd immediately exploded into conversation, everyone talking at once. Lisa pushed through to Jake's side. Are you insane? You just agreed to a suicide mission. What choice did I have? Jake said. He backed us into a corner. We could have refused. We could have worked through diplomatic channels and spent years arguing while Earth remains isolated. No, this is faster. And besides, Jake managed a weak smile. We're humans. Impossible odds are kind of our thing. Danny joined them, his face pale but determined. I can't believe you volunteered me without asking. Would you have said no? Danny was quiet for a moment. No, I wouldn't have. We're in this together. Administrator Cuzzard approached, his body language radiating distress. Mr. Morrison, you understand that no species has successfully completed this challenge in over 200 years. The Crithians themselves only have a 30% success rate, and they are bred for warfare. Then we'll be the first non-Crithians to do it, Jake said with more confidence than he felt. Over the next cycle, Jake, Lisa, and Danny prepared as best they could. They studied every piece of available information about Hellscape Station and Vardex 3. They trained with survival gear. They practiced emergency medical procedures. Dr. Vess conducted detailed biological scans and provided them with supplements designed to boost their already impressive resilience. The night before their departure, Jake couldn't sleep. He stood in the embassy looking out at the stars, wondering if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Lisa found him there. Second thoughts? About 1,000 of them. We could still back out. Say you were coerced. The council might support us. Jake shook his head. No. Vrex was right about one thing. If we want to be treated as equals, we have to prove we're equals. This is our chance. Or our grave. Maybe. But at least it'll be an interesting grave. Lisa laughed despite herself. Only you would make jokes the night before a potential suicide mission. The transport to Hellscape Station departed the next morning. As they boarded, Jake looked back at the station one last time. Hundreds of beings had gathered to watch them leave. Some looked worried. Others looked skeptical. A few looked excited, probably betting on whether the humans would survive. Jake took a deep breath and stepped into the transport. Whatever happened next, Earth's fate now rested on 3 humans and their ability to do what they had always done best: survive against all odds. The transport touched down on Vardex 3 with a jarring thud that rattled Jake's teeth. Through the viewport, the moon's surface looked like a vision of hell. Jagged black rocks jutting from cracked red earth, pools of something that bubbled and steamed, and a sky the color of old bruises. In the distance, the twisted remains of Hellscape Station rose like the skeleton of some massive creature. Atmosphere analysis confirms previous data, the transport's computer announced in a neutral voice. Oxygen content sufficient for human respiration. Temperature fluctuations between -40 and +60 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric toxins present but within human tolerance levels. Probability of human survival, 23%. Well, that's encouraging, Danny muttered. The transport's cargo bay opened, revealing their supplies: 3 packs containing water purification tablets, basic medical supplies, emergency rations, thermal blankets, and simple tools. No weapons, no advanced technology, no communication devices beyond short-range radios. Those were the rules. Jake shouldered his pack and stepped out onto the surface of Vardex 3. The air hit him like a physical force, sharp and chemical, burning his throat as he breathed. His eyes watered immediately, and he had to blink several times before his vision cleared. It smells like someone set fire to a tire factory inside a gym locker. Lisa gasped, pulling a cloth over her nose and mouth. Could be worse, Jake said, though he wasn't sure how. The transport lifted off immediately, leaving them alone on the hostile moon. In orbit above them, Jake knew that ships from across the galaxy were watching, recording every moment of this challenge. No pressure. Danny pulled out a simple compass and map that had been provided with their supplies. Hellscape Station is approximately 15 kilometers northwest. Current temperature is 22 degrees Celsius, but according to the briefing, it's going to hit 50 by midday and drop to minus 30 by nightfall. Then we need to get moving, Lisa said. Find shelter before things get extreme. They started walking, picking their way carefully across the treacherous terrain. The ground was unstable, with hidden cracks and pools of acidic liquid that could dissolve their boots if they weren't careful. Within an hour, Jake's legs were burning from the effort, and sweat poured down his face despite the relatively cool temperature. Movement, Danny said suddenly, pointing to a cluster of rocks ahead. Something's watching us. Jake squinted and saw it. A creature about the size of a large dog covered in scales that perfectly matched the surrounding rocks. It had 6 legs and a mouth full of crystalline teeth that glinted in the dim light. As they watched, 2 more appeared, then 3 more. Scrax, Lisa said, consulting the briefing information she had memorized. Pack hunters. Venomous bite. Extremely aggressive. The creatures began to circle them, moving with disturbing coordination. Jake picked up a rock, hefting it in his hand. Back to back. Stay together. The largest Scrax charged first, moving with shocking speed. Jake threw his rock, hitting the creature square in the head. It yelped and stumbled, giving Danny time to swing his pack at another one. Lisa grabbed a sharp piece of volcanic rock and brandished it like a knife. For a tense moment, the Scrax evaluated them. Then Jake did something that seemed insane even as he did it. He roared. It was a primal sound, drawn from millions of years of human evolution, the sound an apex predator makes when defending its territory. The Scrax froze. Their eyes, which had been fixed on the humans with predatory focus, now showed something different. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. Jake roared again and took a step forward. Lisa and Danny joined in, making themselves as large and loud as possible. It was a gamble based on a simple principle. Most predators, even alien ones, avoided prey that fought back too aggressively. The Scrax broke and ran, disappearing into the rocky landscape. That, Danny said, breathing hard, was either brilliant or the stupidest thing you've ever done. Worked, didn't it? They continued walking, and the temperature climbed steadily. By what Jake estimated was midday, the heat was brutal. His skin felt like it was cooking, and his water supply was dropping faster than he liked. But they pushed on, driven by the knowledge that stopping meant failure. The entrance to Hellscape Station appeared in late afternoon, a massive blast door set into the side of a mountain, half buried by rock slides and time. The door was open just wide enough for a person to slip through. This is it, Lisa said. Once we go in there, we're committed. We were committed the moment we landed, Jake replied. He clicked on his flashlight, one of the few pieces of technology they were allowed, and stepped into the darkness. The interior of Hellscape Station was a maze of corridors and chambers, all showing signs of long abandonment. Equipment lay scattered and broken. Walls were scarred with what looked like claw marks and blast damage. The air inside was stale but cooler than outside, which was a relief. They made their way deeper into the station, following the map Danny had memorized. The central computer room was at the heart of the facility, but getting there meant navigating 3 levels of damaged structure. On the second level, they found evidence of the Scrax nest. The creatures had claimed this station as their territory, and from the bones scattered around, they had been very successful hunters. We need to be quiet, Lisa whispered. If we can avoid them entirely, that's our best option. But the galaxy, it seemed, had other plans. As they entered a large chamber that must have once been a command center, lights suddenly flickered on. Emergency power activated by their movement. And in that light they saw them, dozens of Scrax, maybe more, filling the chamber and the corridors beyond. The creatures had been sleeping, but the lights woke them. Dozens of eyes turned toward the humans, glowing with predatory hunger. Run or fight? Danny asked, his voice surprisingly calm. Jake assessed the situation in seconds. Too many to fight. Not enough space to run effectively. But humans had one advantage that these creatures didn't: the ability to think creatively under pressure. "Make noise," Jake said. "Lisa, see if you can get that emergency power to do something. Sirens, lights, anything. Danny, help me gather anything that burns. We're going to make ourselves look like the scariest thing these creatures have ever seen." They worked frantically as the Scracks began to advance, moving with the patience of predators who knew their prey had nowhere to go. Lisa found an emergency control panel and started hitting buttons randomly. Somewhere in the station, alarms began to wail. Lights flashed on and off in a strobing pattern. Jake and Danny piled everything flammable they could find into the center of the chamber. Old papers, broken furniture, dried biological material they didn't want to identify too closely. Jake pulled out the emergency fire starter from his pack and lit the pile. Flames roared to life, casting wild shadows on the walls. The alarm continued to wail. The lights flashed, and Jake, Lisa, and Danny stood in front of that fire, making themselves as large and loud as possible, screaming and roaring and banging on metal with tools. It was insane. It was desperate. It was very, very human. The Scracks, faced with fire, noise, lights, and three creatures that seemed completely unafraid, made a collective decision. These were not prey. These were something else, something dangerous and unpredictable. Better to find easier hunting elsewhere. The pack retreated, flowing out of the chamber like water, leaving the humans alone with their fire and their frantically beating hearts. "I can't believe that worked," Danny said, slumping against a wall. "We just bluffed an entire nest of alien predators," Lisa said, a slightly hysterical laugh escaping her. "Earth is never going to believe this." But there was no time to celebrate. The fire had done its job, but now they needed to move before it attracted other dangers. They pushed deeper into the station, exhausted but driven by necessity. The central computer room was on the 3rd level, behind a door that required manual override. It took all three of them working together to force it open, their muscles burning with the effort. Inside, the room was surprisingly intact. Emergency power had kept the computer systems in minimal operation, and the data cores they needed were exactly where the briefing had said they would be. Danny extracted the cores carefully, placing them in a protective case. "Got them. Now we just need to survive long enough to get them back to the extraction point." The journey back was a nightmare. The temperature had plummeted with nightfall, dropping so fast that their breath fogged in the air. Jake's fingers felt numb and his legs shook with exhaustion. But they kept moving, supporting each other when one stumbled, sharing the last of their water, refusing to give up. When they finally emerged from Hellscape Station, the moon's surface was covered in frost and stars blazed in the black sky above. The extraction point was still 5 kilometers away, and they had to cross it in the freezing dark. Jake didn't remember much of that final trek. His mind narrowed to simple commands. Step, breathe, don't stop, keep moving. Lisa was singing something under her breath, a song from Earth, and the sound of it kept him focused. Danny was counting their steps, giving them goals. 100 steps, then rest for 30 seconds, then another 100. They were human. They survived. That's what they did. When the transport finally appeared on the horizon, its lights cutting through the darkness like a beacon, Jake felt something break inside him. The docking bay was packed when the transport arrived at the Galactic Trade Station. Thousands of beings had gathered to witness the humans' return, and the noise was deafening. Cheers, whistles, sounds, and frequencies Jake's ears couldn't quite process. Recording devices floated everywhere, capturing every angle. Jake stepped out of the transport first, still dirty and exhausted but standing as straight as he could manage. Lisa and Danny followed, and the noise somehow got even louder. Waiting at the front of the crowd, impossible to miss, was Ambassador Vrex. The massive Crithian stood perfectly still, his armored form reflecting the lights of the docking bay. As Jake approached, Vrex raised one enormous fist to his chest and then extended it toward Jake, palm open. "The Crithian salute of respect," Administrator Kazert whispered from somewhere nearby, "reserved for warriors of proven courage." Jake, not knowing the proper response, simply copied the gesture. His hand looked tiny compared to Vrex's, but the Crithian accepted it gravely. "I underestimated your species," Vrex said, his deep voice cutting through the noise. "The challenge I set was designed for failure. Many Crithian candidates do not survive it. I expected you to refuse or to perish in the attempt. Instead, you not only survived but completed the objective with time to spare. We're good at surviving, Jake said. It's kind of our specialty. So I have learned. Vrex reached up and removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face that was somehow both alien and strangely familiar. His eyes were golden and intense, studying Jake with new understanding. You scared off a nest of scracks with nothing but fire and noise. You crossed 15 kilometers of hostile terrain without advanced equipment. You adapted to conditions that would break most species. These are not the actions of primitives. These are the actions of warriors. He handed Jake a small metal disc, intricately carved with symbols Jake didn't recognize. This is a Crithian honor token. It marks you as someone who has passed our trials. Present it to any Crithian commander, and you will be treated as an equal. The Crithian Dominion formally announces its support for Earth's full galactic citizenship. Furthermore, we offer military protection and access to our training facilities for any humans who wish to learn from us. The crowd erupted again. Jake clutched the token, feeling the weight of what had just happened. Earth had just gained one of the galaxy's most powerful allies. Dr. Vess pushed through the crowd, her crystalline body chiming with urgency. You three need immediate medical attention. Come with me now. We're fine, Jake protested, but his legs chose that moment to buckle. Danny caught him, though Danny didn't look much steadier himself. Medical bay, now, Dr. Vess insisted. The medical examination revealed what Jake already knew. They were exhausted, dehydrated, and covered in minor injuries. But nothing was seriously wrong. Their bodies had handled the stress, just as human bodies had been handling stress for millions of years. Remarkable, Dr. Vess said as she reviewed their scans. Your cellular damage is already repairing itself. Given proper rest and nutrition, you will be completely recovered within 2 standard cycles. Any other species would require weeks of intensive care after what you endured. Over the next few days, Jake recovered in the embassy while messages poured in from across the galaxy.